Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on the roguewavepodcast.com, facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast, twitch.tv/Rogue Wave Podcast, and available on all major podcasting apps immediately after this live stream. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google, Anchor, you name it. We are out there tonight. MCU Phase 4 delayed, March Movie Madness, DC Films final round, and Marvel Comics postpones new issues. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always joined by my cohort in crime, Mr. Hassan Godwin, Lord of the Radio. How you doing, sir?
Day 105 of being in this place.
Yeah. I did something I haven't done in a good 20 years. I gave myself a haircut. It's very exciting. I haven't done that.
You cut your own hair?
I have not done that since college.
I have not cut my hair, hence the hat.
I was going to ask you about that. And, yeah.
I didn't realize until we were about to record. I'm like, oh, man, I did no manscaping, before walking into the live arena. So
I think I did pretty good. I had a little assist from my wife. It was funny too. I had a Zoom.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad.
No, life is good. I had a Zoom call with some college friends, and we were sharing all of our coronavirus. And I was like, yeah, I haven't cut my hair in 20 years. And my friend's like, I think I cut your hair 20 years ago. I'm like, I think you did. So, but
there's some hard hitting stuff, man. Without going into any really deep details, but the coronavirus is a serious thing, and so I'm joking a little bit about being in this palace for 105 days, and I'm going a little crazy, but it's still everybody. Listen, don't go outside. I mean, look, I don't mean to make it sound like it's radioactive outside, but I mean, if you can avoid it, avoid people, 6 feet, stay distant. Adhere to social distancing, wear a mask. Mm-hmm. If someone's standing next to the butter in the supermarket, you can wait 3 minutes for them to leave. Okay? So many times I'm like in the supermarket, I'm trying to get something and someone needs something and they just lean over me and I'm like, hey, you're not doing that right.
No, you know what? I have a friend who has it, and he's like, I went to the supermarket 3 times. It's the only thing I've done. And so, you can get it, and it's out there. So stay safe.
Of course.
Stay out of areas that have high volumes of cases. Do that as well, too.
If you're lucky enough. If
you can. Look, I mean, that's the thing, right? If you go to – if the Costco in your part of town just happens to have –
is in the coronavirus hotspot.
More cases of corona, don't go to Costco. It's just that simple, Go to ShopRite. It's okay. You don't need 800 plates.
I will say, to make this terrible, terrible pandemic all about myself, I will say that my eating habits have taken a sharp decline.
I don't think you're alone.
It's just, you know what? The problem is because of the paranoia and whatever, and it's well-earned paranoia. Sure. It's not like I'm being, hyperbolic.
Right.
You don't want to make that trip to the store sometimes. It's easier. It's almost like
down as much as you can.
Yeah, it's almost like making a stealth run to the corner store. It's like I can get what I need from the corner store. Mm-hmm. A corner store will be able to sustain you a little bit. They've got the dry foods and the certain other things that you could probably you can make at least a couple of decent meals out of. But it is not a way. It is not a way to maintain a healthy diet. It really isn't.
No.
So it's bad. We will all have to learn how to navigate coronavirus in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. And I suggest you do the best for yourself. You try to eat as healthy as possible, and you don't be an asshole. Just. I say stay home and just as long as you can.
Restream Rogue Wave podcast as much as humanly possible. Just do it over and over again. We're here for you. We're here to distract you from all this nonsense.
But even healthy, constant doses of both Godwin and Dolce on a regular basis will not sustain you without a meal.
Store. No, we are not the corner convenience store.
No, we're not.
We are the Costco that I'm telling you to stay away from.
We are the better bet. We are definitely the better bet. But but you can't eat the podcast. That's the only problem. So eventually you will have to venture out. Be smart. Just be smart. Please
All right.
Continue with your show. My public service announcement is over. You may continue with your show.
It's okay. In the spirit of distraction, we start with our Rogue Rage. It's our new title for our news section. It's the news that's got fandom chatting up in arms. It's good. This one's a super awesome story, actually, and it's got a little bit of a personal note also. Jake Johnson, the voice actor who is the voice of Peter B. Parker in Into the Spider-Verse, is actually emailing kids a voice message. And I know this for a fact because I emailed the email address you're supposed to email, which is peter@peterbparkersayshi.com. It was actually a Gmail account when I emailed it, so it seems to have evolved in the 3 weeks since I emailed him. And my son got a voice message from him. Would you like to listen here?
I'd love to hear it.
Here we go.
Hey, James, it's your friend Peter B. Parker from Spider-Verse. I hear you're home from school because of Corona, and I'm home in Queens, too. Just want to let you know, James, I'm thinking about you, and keep your chin up. This will all end soon, friend.
That's pretty darn cool, right?
Yes.
Right?
That was pretty awesome.
And
that was pretty awesome.
If you go, he's not actually on Twitter, but if you go on Twitter, he's doing this for so many people, and giving you a little something to smile about in these times.
Yeah,
so.
Little things, man. It's all about the little things that these people do that make our lives a little better, that make us a little less loopy, feel a little less isolated.
It's
cool.
And think about it too. It's just the level. 15 seconds. Do that for 100 people, and that's, or 60 people, and it's actually an amazing amount of work to do.
That's a lot, and that's a lot of positivity.
Yeah,
and we need it. We definitely need it.
Well, as we were trying to talk about off air, I listened to Colin Cowherd, and he is a voice of reason for me, and I love it because he's basically saying, it's all right to be empathetic to everything that's going on, to the situations that people have, and also kind of talk about the positive and how we move past this and move forward. So
right, it's I think Philip DeFranco, if you ever seen the Philip DeFranco show on YouTube, he does the news. He does news and pop culture stuff like that. Not quite on the entertainment angle like we are, but he's more the interactive news. And he actually reports how many people are recovering from coronavirus.
Yes.
Unlike the mainstream media, unlike everything else that you see, where they just talk about how many cases we have and how many poor souls have died, without giving you any ray of hope about how many people have recovered. And there's a good almost 300,000 people who have had it and have gotten past it.
Yeah.
And that is an important number.
That's
an extremely important number.
It's very important that we get off social media, for extended periods of time. It really is, because their statistics are, people are more negative after the more hours they consume social media, because it's endless loop. Look, this goes back to just us talking about things like Comicsgate and women and women's rights and all these other things. The more you're glued into the same message over and over again, it's Clockwork Orange. Your eyes are, and the more you start to think,
that these are important, pivotal angles that people are taking, and nobody cares about any of that stuff in the real world. Nobody. No. The Twitterverse and YouTube and Facebook to a large extent represent a microscopic percentage of our society when it comes to. And they found that out when, during the primaries, that how many people said they were going to vote versus how many people voted. Right. It is a lie, that it's great to I have some friends in other countries, and it's fantastic to talk to them on a regular basis. It's amazing if you're in Facebook and you're in a Facebook group about something ridiculous, You know, like if you like the Smurfs or something, you're in a Smurfs Facebook group, and you could talk to fellow fans.
I didn't invite you to my Smurfs Facebook
you know what?
group.
I keep my eye on all your activity.
All you're asking for is the invite, right?
Yeah.
You're like, how dare you not invite me?
Not on the air though. We don't have to say that. We don't have to use that. But I mean, it's serious. It's fantastic. But I mean, you can't really get your up-to-date news from social media, not in a reliable manner. You know.
Yeah.
There's
going to
be for every story that
people, right?
Yeah, every story that comes incorrect, there are 10 that are trying to mislead you.
Right.
And maybe even innocently.
Right.
You know, because they're just regurgitating. Oh my God, they're just regurgitating news that they got, someone else got, and then, but it's telephone. It's a bad case of telephone.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I've been reading about the towers in London have been burning the cell phone towers because people believe the 5G conspiracy. I don't know if you've heard this yet.
Yes.
The installation of 5G is what caused coronavirus to rapidly.
Right. Even though they don't have 5G in Afghanistan. And, I mean.
Right. Well, no, but they're saying that China literally just put up the 5G towers, and that's when coronavirus came out. And people like Woody Harrelson and John Cusack, while they're not saying this is, blah, 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 they are kind of retweeting the message a little bit by saying this is interesting. Oh, what an interesting angle! I didn't think about this.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
you have great aspirations. We've talked about that we talk about it on a fairly regular basis.
My aspirations now include just getting all my comics organized because.
And staying alive, staying inside.
No, look, honestly, like I'm actually. Because we went. I have more milk and orange juice upstairs in my house and bread than I'm ever gonna eat.
Than you would ever need.
Than I would ever need on a normal basis. So we are locked down for the next 2 weeks because this is supposed to be the apex around New York City. So we're purposely. So I'm not. I've kind of come down. I had my hysteria cloud lifted from this past weekend where I was like, oh my God, we gotta. I definitely had the moment of. We're all gonna die. We gotta to now like, we're not because we're not going anywhere.
All right, but don't. Yeah, well, I don't over or underplay anything. So just to slide back into you have aspirations as a you want great things to happen. You want to be an important
fortune
person.
And glory. Fortune and glory.
Yeah, an important. Knowing what you know now, should that happen? Probably will, but should that happen? Are you ever gonna freaking tweet anything ever? Because I don't think I am. If I ever become anybody, you're never going to hear from me. Nobody needs me to weigh in on anything. There's no need for me to talk. You want someone, you've written something you'd like me to promote. It's like, hey, man, read Michael Dolce's book. I kind of dig it. I read it myself. It's great. Thank you. Goodbye. That would be the extent of it.
That's it. There are some people that are literally just big time social media. Like they are good at it. Like really good at it.
Which is fine.
Don't try to be good at it.
I don't see it ever doing you any good. I don't see any time I'm going to hear about someone who tweeted, it's always a bad thing.
Right.
I've very rarely seen someone, oh, did you see the great tweet that Tom Hanks put out? Like Rita Wilson put out a great tweet about her with her rapping to doing Wu-Tang Clan lyrics and stuff like that while she was recovering. Those things are great. But man, I just do not see I don't see the value of it. Yeah. I
think studios
the gains
are more
that you can make.
Yeah, I think studios are kind of realizing this a little more. They still value following and being an influencer.
It's important that those metrics are important.
They are, but yeah, I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. All right. Shifting over to this, which still in line with the coronavirus, Marvel Phase 4, along with a whole bunch of other movies, including Top Gun: Maverick, have new dates, have been pushed. Black Widow was originally postponed. And now it is going to take over the slot that once belonged to Eternals on November 6th. Eternals now shifts to February 12th, 21. That was supposed to be Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi will now move to May 7th. Doctor Strange 2, which was May 7th, will now be November 5th.
This is all 2020, though.
No. Black Widow. Black Widow will be November 6th, 2020. That is the first
what did I just say?
Marvel film in 2020.
Oh, okay. So then everything else is 2021. You're talking
correct. So Eternals now goes to February 2021. which was supposed to be Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi moves to May 2021, which is supposed to be Doctor Strange 2.
Okay, but we weren't getting any of those until 2021 anyway. So
we weren't, but everything is now. We were supposed to get Black Widow in May, Eternals in November. Now we're just getting Black Widow. Eternals is next year. Basically everything. The only things that are unchanged right now is Black Panther 2 is still set for May 8th, 2022, which will be exciting for us. And Captain Marvel 2, which will be July 8th, 2022. So, and that's it. I mean, there's, the Top Gun 2, Christmas. A Quiet Place 2 has also been moved. Disney moved Indiana Jones back from 2021 to 2022, which means Harrison Ford's going to be even older. Like, he's
going to be 100 years old. Well, no, I can't. If they record it, yeah, but he'll be whatever age he is when they film it.
I guess
doesn't matter when they bring it out. He won't. I guess so. He won't jump in age in the film. If they bring it out 2 years after they film it.
I know. That's killing me. Some delayed titles that remain undated include the New Mutants. Can't. That movie's just not.
That movie doesn't exist though. Nobody.
Well, you know what's funny? My prediction on that.
They haven't. They filmed the trailer.
Yeah.
And they keep trying to get Maisie Williams and these other kids to come in so they can actually film the film. Right. And the kids, they're like, okay, we're done with this because we don't think it's going to go anywhere. So now they're stuck with the lie. So they have to keep lying that the movie is delayed, and they keep pretending to push it back. But honestly, they've never filmed it. It's not real.
My prediction is as soon as and again, you can be empathetic to what's going on and also talk about restarting the economy and moving forward. As soon as we move forward, I think you're going to see New Mutants come out this year. I actually do. Because they moved Black Widow to November, there is a gap. And they have basically, look, this is a finished film. They have a finished film waiting to go. You're gonna see New Mutants when they understand what's safe and what's not. Mulan, they moved to July, so they're anticipating, according to what I'm reading from different doctors and scientists, mid to late May, everything is supposed to go back to normal, which is kind of in line of what we were kind of talking about. The over-under that we kind of said was May 1st, but now it's maybe mid-May. The apex is coming. The rest they think the next 2 weeks is going to be the apex of cases. So there is a significant gap from Mulan in July to Black Widow in November. I think you could slot a September New Mutants in. You could slot it, close to, kind of late September, mid-September. I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see it.
At this point, it's just it exists in my universe as a mere curiosity. It really is. It really is just like, really? That exists? That's interesting. I know. But I am not super excited to see it because they beat it, they browbeat it and battered it around so much that, and then, there's people who said it was terrible, and now people are saying, you know what, it's actually great. Now it went so far around the spectrum that people are actually like going to probably call it a great movie when it finally comes out.
There's a great meme that Craig Caruso sent to me where it had a picture of a whole bunch of elderly people leaving like a rest home, and it said the cast of New Mutants for the premiere.
That's a good one. Okay.
I think so too.
That works.
We are bringing joy and levity and distraction. When we come back, we're going to do even more. We're going to finish off our 4th annual March Movie Madness DC Films edition. We've got a final 4 consisting of Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and The Dark Knight. We'll face them off against each other to a final 2 and get a winner when we return. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. It's our 4th episode, and we're pretty excited about it. We are up on iTunes and Spreaker and Apple Podcast. Oh, I said iTunes. Apple Podcasts, Google, all these fun places you can get your favorite podcast from. However, if you were a fan of our previous show, Secrets of the Sire, you can go to secretsofthesire.com/Apple, and it will send you over to our new link. And if you could also do /Google, and that will take you to our new link depending on how you consume podcasts. For the Rogue Wave podcast, you got to hit subscribe. We really appreciate it if you do. So again, secretsofthesire.com/Apple, secretsofthesire.com/Google, and you can click subscribe, leave a review, all kinds of fun stuff. We have the Rogue Wave podcast now on all major podcasting apps. All right, last week we had Fabian Nicieza, co-creator of Deadpool and a former Batman writer, on to help us wade through the mess of DC films. That's the conclusion we kind of came to. There are just not a lot of really good DC films out there. There's what would you say? The final four, I think, is the above average, right? I think the rest were average to above average. Like maybe
you gotta name the final four.
Okay. I did it before break, but I'll do it now. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and The Dark Knight. I would all designate as above average films.
Superman as in the Man of Steel?
No, Superman 1.
You mean Superman the motion picture?
From the motion picture from 1970.
Batman from 1989.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And Wonder Woman from 2017, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And The Dark Knight.
And what was the other one?
2008. Dark Knight.
No. It's an above average movie. It's a terrible Batman movie, though. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it is a good movie. It's a production-wise, it's really wonderful.
Previous rounds had things like Shazam and Aquaman and V for Vendetta and Red, which we could consider average to above average. And then there's just a slew of garbage. just garbage. But we've got it down to our final four.
Okay.
Which do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Superman the Motion Picture versus Wonder Woman? Or do you want to start with Batman 1989 versus The Dark Knight? And just a reminder, so everyone out there, we still have yet to use our upset special, which is, and this is the round to do it. This is it. We don't have to use it, but I've given each of us, Hassan and I, the ability to just yell upset and push the movie they want past the other movie.
Okay. Superman versus Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I know you are a big Superman the Motion Picture fan, so I'm going to assume that's the one you're gonna vote for in this instance. Let me give you a counter to your argument, though, from last week, right? The movie poster saying, you can prove, what is it? A man can fly. What's the tagline? You will believe a man can fly.
Man can fly. Yes.
You will believe that a Wonder Woman movie can not only succeed, but that a female superhero can lead a superhero movie to critical and financial success. First movie to do it with a female lead as the main character ever. I think the social relevance of that versus...
Well, it was Elektra.
Yeah, that bombed.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not the first movie of...
No, I said the first movie to succeed both critically and financially. That has a female lead.
Critical and financial acumen is such a terrible gauge of anything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
I'm using that criteria to say it was the first time you had a female superhero. Okay.
And you're bringing this up. Why? You're suggesting this. Why? Because you're suggesting that might trump.
It's opening the doors. Yes, as Superman the Motion Picture opened the doors for the superhero movie genre, Wonder Woman has opened it up further for the female-led superhero genre.
Disagree, Superman. It is a Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a cultural touchstone. It's it is also a wonderful film. It has the virtue of being a great film on top of it being a cultural milestone for the genre. Mm-hmm. But it is that does not, in my book, and we're just talking about my book. People out there in social media land.
Yes.
in my book, that does not outshine the progenitor of the entire genre in and of itself, which was, in my opinion, 1979's or 1978 Superman.
Yeah, I think if you're stacking up cast, I think Gal Gadot, or is it Gadot? I'll have to learn it when we eventually interview her. She's phenomenal, but so is Christopher Reeve. It's not like you sit there and say he's not. I mean, he's the perfect Superman.
The argument for either one can be made that that crazy things were standing against both of those films being made. Yeah. The Superman had a lot of things that going for it that Wonder Woman would never have. It being the first of its genre, it being it having a director.
Well, that could have worked. Look, that could have worked against it too.
I'm trying to tell you that.
Yeah.
There's a director who has sensibilities that are that are steeped in storytelling as opposed to spectacle. So, and Wonder Woman didn't have those things.
Yeah,
it didn't have those virtues that have to get over. But on the other hand, Wonder Woman had to compete with a very saturated market. It had to, it didn't have the virtue of being first. It didn't have the virtue of being brand new and having a fresh, innocent, I guess, or unbiased, non-cynical audience to showcase all of this stuff to. So Wonder Woman, the obstacles that Wonder Woman had to get over versus the obstacles that Superman, the motion picture, or Superman the movie had to get over, very different. But if you watch Superman the movie now, it is literally all the tropes in the genre are there. That's where it was created.
Yeah.
I
would argue, though, from a directorial standpoint, though, I think Patty Jenkins shoots the hell out of that movie. I think I liken that with Black Panther in terms of just visual storytelling. I think visually it's
a wonderful
stunning
movie.
Stunning.
It's an
movie.
Unfair comparison for the two of them. But
but you know what, you can look at Superman 1 and look, I'm not talking about beautifully shot in terms of like the special effects are beautifully shot. I mean, I think it's just a beautifully shot movie. I think Superman 1 is also a beautifully shot movie. I think they're on par. Obviously, there's limitations to the CGI that was done. There was no CGI. There was no CGI back then. But I would say, I would say directorially speaking, that's a high bar for all three films, including Black Panther, which is not part of our tournament because it's Marvel, obviously. But
you got to look at it this way: if there was no Superman the movie, there would have been no Wonder Woman the movie. So
I know
again,
that's a tough. Yes,
that again trumps it.
Well, okay, no. If Superman 1 was not as critically and financially successful,
that takes everything into account. With my statement, if there was no Superman movie, which does mean if it wasn't a success.
Okay.
Which does mean if it wasn't a success, if it wasn't.
No, you didn't say that. You said if there wasn't a Superman, there'd be no Wonder Woman. No, there had to be a Superman, and it had to be good, and it was.
It goes without saying because we're not talking about the various other movies that came out and weren't a success. So we're obviously talking about Superman because it was a success. It being a success is a foregone conclusion in the analysis. So there was no need for that.
We're on social media.
Unless you're slow.
You gotta dumb it down.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, you gotta be more clear.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
We respect our audience.
No, we don't. Not even a little bit.
I gotta be honest with you. I kind of lean Wonder Woman a little bit.
Oh, what a surprise!
I do actually. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I kind of lean Wonder Woman a little bit. You are very much strong in your convictions. I'm gonna yell upset card. Wonder Woman advancing. Boom. I did it. There you go. Take that, Fabian, sitting at home, listening to our podcast. I use my upset card. Can't use it the rest of the time now. See? That's it. It's done. We're going to push Wonder Woman to the forefront. Batman 1989 versus Dark Knight. I think the majority of fandom would say Dark Knight, correct?
Who cares?
Oh, yeah, you're just pissed because your movie's out.
I'm not pissed. I'm honestly not pissed. Who cares with the majority of fandom?
Oh, okay.
You know for a fact which one I'm going to choose. So just
I can't use my upset. I can't use my upset.
Do your little minstrel song and dance, and
This one's a great look. This is a great matchup too, though, right? Because we had Dark Knight versus the Joker with Heath Ledger's versus Joaquin Phoenix. Now you have Jack Nicholson's Joker taking on Heath Ledger's Joker as well. I think Fabian outlined the issues with Batman, although he does liken it to a Tim Burton bias versus an actual bias against the movie in terms of the action scenes and things like that. But I don't know. Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight really did elevate it to a status that it's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to beat, to be honest with you. I think I agree with you in terms of a Batman movie, not great, but in terms of a movie, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's how do you judge it, right? How would you judge it? If you just forget Batman, which movie is better in your mind?
Batman.
Overall, just a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, even though
better story.
Okay, and how so?
There's too many anomalous things in The Dark Knight that don't make any sense. Too many things for chance, aspects that they just threw in. For instance, like this guy's a billionaire and he is a super secret. He was a member of a super secret ninja organization that allows him to use theatrical stealth to be able to take his vigilanteism to the masses. And to top things off, on top of him being a billionaire, he's also the head, the lion's share board member of Wayne Industries, which is stockpiled with experimental weapons that he himself can use in his crusade. And he's got Lucius, who is who has become the head of the entire organization, so that he could supply him with these, and also has the virtue of being the designer of all these gadgets. And yet, one of these yahoos left a blueprint for some employee to find and figure out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and then blackmail him. In spite of him being a super secret ninja, and in spite of and there are a number of those things in that film that are like, wait, what? Like none of this would happen. None of these the things in this sequence would be happening right now, as thrilling as they are, if there was any kind of common sense going on in the story. It's literally driven by stupidity, and I'm not talking about the script being stupid. Right. I'm talking about the reliance on the stupidity of the characters in the story in order to bring about the next act and the next act and the next act. So. No, I would say that Tim Burton's Batman is a better movie. Okay. Story-wise.
I think we touched upon this last week too when it was Joker versus the Dark Knight. Also, it's the strength of the performance of Heath Ledger as the antagonist to Batman that elevates this film. The details when they do like the Rorschach test, and they show you an ink blot, and it's like what comes to mind when you tell me like Dark Knight, like immediately I just think of like him dressed as a nurse blowing up the hospital, him in the straitjacket being interrogated, him in the scene, where, Bruce Wayne has to duck out and become Batman and fight him. Everything is tied to Heath Ledger, almost to the point where you forget that Two-Face was even in the movie and it's too bad because what's his name? Eckler, is it Aaron Eckler? I think his name is Eckhart does such an amazing job, as Two-Face. But you don't almost forget he's in the movie, right? Like it really is just this tour de force performance that everyone thinks about, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to that movie except that. I couldn't even tell you.
That's what kind of makes it a mediocre film. It's
right.
If we didn't get that performance from Heath Ledger, And it's arguable, unfortunately, because of the morbidity of our society, that his performance is elevated by the fact that that was one of his last performances. You know, so it is now deified as one of the greatest performances ever. Now, and we knew he had died before we even saw the film. So it's not like we have an unbiased appreciation of his work, and then he suddenly tragically died.
Right.
And so we elevated it. It was already elevated before we even saw one frame of film. You know.
Yeah.
So, and look, that's not to diminish him. Right. I think he did an absolutely magnificent job. He's my favorite Joker by far. In what is my least favorite Batman film by far. So, yes, but it doesn't save the movie for me.
I'm still going to go Dark Knight just so you have to yell.
Upset.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to do it anyway, but I just, you
probably will not agree with our choices, or maybe you will, but we are doing Wonder Woman taking on Batman 1989 in the final round. Final round. Now I'm excited. I'm excited here too because I think there's two. I think we could. It's safe to say though, regardless of the outcome here, the final four was top-notch films. I mean, we kind of said that at the beginning of this.
All three of them.
No, I think you're understating how.
Here's what you said.
That performance.
I think we could say that the four of them are top. No, we cannot say that. So, no.
Batman versus Wonder Woman, DC films, March Madness bracket.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this?
I still say Batman.
I'll lean that way also, not to give away the suspense or anything like that. Only because now getting back into it, Batman in terms of. I mean, it's really funny, right? You had 2 points in superhero movie history where the genre itself was in danger, like just legit danger for all the equity that Superman the Motion Picture built up and Superman 2 reinforced. You then had Superman 3 and you had Superman 4 Quest of Peace, and all of a sudden it was like, well, can this?
They always bring it down.
Can this really survive? And X-Men
for every Dark Knight, you get a Dark Knight Rises.
Well, look, Dark Knight Rises. No, I wouldn't even call that. I would say you have for every Batman, 1989, you have, and I won't say Batman Forever because I enjoyed it, but you have Batman and Robin, which completely sink the genre altogether.
It's in the same category. It's for every one of those. For every X-Men First Class, you get an X-Men United.
Apocalypse, or whatever the heck it was.
Apocalypse.
X2 was good, dude. You hate X2.
No,
but look, you can't say it. You can't say it threatened the genre. X2 United is not X2 X-Men.
I didn't say that. What did
I
say? I said they always bring it down. They always, whatever pinnacles, whatever heights, the debut episode or debut product achieves, the next few, there's always diminishing returns.
Yeah. I can't sit there and say
unless you're Star Wars, where they all make $1 billion.
Yeah, right. I can't sit there and say, unless you're Solo, I can't sit there and say that Wonder Woman as a character holds any less weight or gravitas in terms of the social masses that Batman does. I don't know if you could say they're equal. I don't know. I think there are just as many Batman fans. Look, this is just conjecture on my part. I have no statistics to back this up. I think that you have just as many Batman fans, if not more, than Wonder Woman fans up until about a few years ago. I think Wonder Woman, because of this movie, it elevated the character to a point where she's now in the conversation again. Even though she was always part of the big three, seeing Batman on screen for the first time, though, in 1989, I think, just deeply affected people. It didn't matter what gender you were. I think Wonder Woman deeply affected the female gender, and that's a huge accomplishment.
The female gender. Okay.
Is that not right?
Yeah.
Did I say something incorrect?
It affected the female gender.
Well, no. It affected it. It was a. Well, it was a win for that, I guess. In that sense, I'm trying to applaud it. I'm trying to applaud it for.
I'm not even being cynical. I don't have the elevation to see things from that level, right?
Yeah.
I can acknowledge it must have, right, because of how deprived the genre has been of something to that magnitude, right? So, but as a man, I am not qualified, to be quite honest. Yeah, I'm not qualified to determine as to whether or not it was revolutionary for women. That'd be me speaking for them in assumption, and I can't do that. So I can't really look at it like that. I could look at it as it probably was some kind of hallmark,
based on all the articles in the press. And,
but I mean,
people, and Twitter.
It depends. I mean, all those articles written by women.
You could make a qualified,
But why?
opinion.
I'm speaking out of turn. I'm speaking out of character. I'm speaking out of knowledge.
I think non-hat Hassan would have made the leap.
I'm speaking not out of knowledge or understanding for myself or my own analysis. I'm speaking as in the form of assumption, and I'm not going to make an assumption.
Okay.
I think it did do some really great things for the genre. But I can't analyze it to that extent. Yeah. I can't say, okay, well, this is obviously,
You know what the funny thing is? All of this talk is just kind of talking around the fact that the third act of Wonder Woman just isn't very good, right?
It's not even talking around it.
No, I just think I'm trying to bolster it up to a point where just the third act does not fall apart, but it still does no matter what.
I don't think the third act falls apart. She's got to fight a god. She fights a god.
Yeah, I know, but it just didn't. Whereas I thought Batman
flew around the sun. Superman flew around the earth. All the last acts are not great.
But I think Batman 1989, the last act, is actually really great.
That is it, yeah, but that's the exception, not the rule.
But that's my point. We're putting them against each other. I think I got to agree. I think
that wasn't my point of comparison.
No,
but sure. If that's that's fine.
So it's a way to bring it all together. All right, we have our winner. Tim Burton, 1989 Batman. Let us know what you think. Comment in the comment feeds. We check that feed all the time, so even if you miss it live, you can check it throughout the week. If you're listening to us on a podcast, you can shout at your headphones and or your computer, and we will not answer back. But you can go to the Facebook page and give us your take as well too. When we come back, we go spinning the racks. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Despite the fact that it is in peril thanks to the coronavirus, this segment is devoted to what we love, which is comic books that will make the TV shows and movies that you will consume down the line. And yes, we will get back to all three, I'm sure.
Comic books that write the songs that make the young girls cry.
That's right.
I write the songs. I write the songs.
Ooh, I'm going to record that and make that the intro. We call this segment Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Marvel Comics pauses work on a third of its comic output. A friend of the show, Chris Aaron from Newsarama, reporting the industry's largest publisher is cutting back in light of the coronavirus pandemic. Marvel Entertainment is immediately pausing work on and the release of approximately one-third of its May and June comic book issues, a spokesman confirmed. Marvel's representative said 15 to 20% of the solicited titles would be affected, as some of them are twice monthly in May and June. The decision to pause work is to help spread the amount of publishing product over the coming weeks and months. Asked when the publisher intends to resume publishing, the spokesperson said, as soon as more information is available, we'll outline our longer-term plans. comic industry's taken a huge hit, obviously, as a lot of businesses have.
It's pretty bad out there. It is pretty bad.
It basically comes down to, which comic book store. There's federal grants and federal loans for small businesses, so hopefully they can take advantage of that, which would be great. It's forgivable loans, so if you need more information about that, that's it's very necessary to go out there and look on the SBA.gov website and things like that. So if you are a retailer, apply. There's hardship loans and things like that are forgivable, so take advantage. Just can they keep afloat over the next month? I think Marvel actually halting the publishing is a good thing. They did say in another article I read that they're paying their talent as well too. I mean, that was one of the questions. Can they afford to pay the talent if the books are not actually going to come out?
I think they got the coffers. I don't think they can. I don't think they could do this for a sustained amount of time. But I think for right now they've got it.
Yeah, I really do. I worry about. I actually don't worry about the big two. I really don't. I do worry about retailers. We've talked about this in previous episodes. Is this the component for change that where it shifts from being a physical to a digital medium? William Pace on my Facebook feed said I'm totally wrong. That people will always want physical comics. They may, but that doesn't mean the retail store is going to be around to give them what they want.
Yeah. And also, like I'm a little dubious about anybody who says that people are always going to do anything. Because it's not
right. Well, that's the thing. We were talking about social media.
People gave up. I mean, there are still people who use vinyl records, but for the most part, we gave up that medium for a better medium.
Yeah.
Nobody uses 8-track tapes anymore. Nobody uses spooled film. I mean, we do. There are these things, even though they are beloved, they do slip into obsolescence. So it is. You can't say always. It would be sad. I agree. It's kind of sad, but I mean, we're running out. We haven't been using paper for a long time as a society. It's a virtually a paperless society. So
I mean, look at Kickstarters, right? So friends of the show, Comics Tribe, just launched a Kickstarter. They did excellent, by the way, doubled their funding goal, which is fantastic. 500 backers. So they only have to print up 500 copies of the actual book. And that doesn't even, out of those 500 backers, I have no idea how many are just digital. Maybe they have 100 that are digital. So maybe a quarter of those don't even want the print copy. They just want to read the story and move on. The next generation of comic book fans, are they reading Comixology and, are they, Marvel Unlimited? Look, I got to be honest, and I still love my comic book stores that I go to. And like to support Comics Warehouse and Funny Business. I like to support them as much as I can. I can read any Marvel comic that's ever existed for $60 a year. Like, it's crazy,
Yeah.
It's not the new titles.
Digital.
It's not the new titles.
And then also, if you have if you're lucky enough, if you have an iPad or a Surface Pro or something, a tablet, it's virtually like reading a comic book.
Well,
it's like having.
It's sometimes better. It's actually.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, because you have unlimited potential.
Yeah, the colors, it's vibrant.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
and you're not gonna dog air the pages. You're not gonna, it's not gonna. You're not worrying about the increase or decrease of value. I mean, you do lose some things with it.
Yeah,
you definitely do lose some things with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not in it for the glory, like and most normal people are not in it for the glory of it. They're just in it for the content. They're in it for the consumption of digestible
and there is something just nicer. So I was joking, but not really. I literally have been organizing my office and my comic book collection and my bookshelf because what else can we do besides watching kids, which is also what I'm doing.
If you have kids, if you don't have kids and you're watching kids, that's really strange. Stop it. Stop doing it. Stop it.
After
people are noticing.
After this past week's Westworld, you'll think twice about doing that too. Anyway, but I'm organizing through, and I found single issues of stuff that I cherish, single issues of comics that I'm like, well, I need to make sure I hold on to this. And then I have trades of it, and I'm like, oh, trades just so much nicer. I have everything in this one, collection. So even from someone who's been a long-time fan of comics, even I'm sitting there going, like, single issues, man, I don't know if they even make sense anymore. Put out a number one, put out a graphic novel. maybe, I mean, look, if you want to print on demand, I mean, you can have these single issues, but you know, I have my inventory of the mainstream that I sell at conventions and I sell on my website. I got a crap ton of number fives. Number fives. What am I going to do with number 5? Like, I have an issue 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have relatively the same amount of copies, so I'm selling those as collector packs. And then I've got twice as many number 5s as I got everything else. No one's buying a number 5.
No, not separately.
No.
No one's like, oh, look what I've always wanted.
This
a
week,
bunch of number 5s.
If you go to CyberStudiosInc.com, we have a special on number 5. Free with every purchase. No. I should do that.
That's one way to get rid of them. And then you still have a stockpile. I can't even give these away.
Look, I wish I could give everyone out there more deeper insight into this, except for the age-old debate of whether or not we're going to be around or not. You guys can chime in on the Facebook feed. We always appreciate that. But I don't know. I think my opinion, sad as it says, I do agree with you, Hassan. You know, the fact that we've always loved something does not automatically assume it's going to be there when all is said and done.
And that's I'm not saying I'm not using that as a foil for that sentiment. You know, hopefully it will. I love comic books. You know, so hopefully, sure, it'll be around a long time. I'm just saying the notion that people are never going to give this up is false. That is not true. Yeah. People give up quite a lot. You know, society does change.
Yep.
So don't rely on that as a relatable metric. You know, that is not provable data.
Yep. No, I'm with you. All right. I hope you enjoyed the show. We will be available again on all major podcasting apps as soon as this ends. So go check us out there. Go to Apple Podcasts, search Rogue Wave Podcast. We're there. Please click subscribe. Google Podcasts, same thing. Google Play. We're on both of those platforms as well too, as in Spotify, you know, iHeart, all those fun things. Next week, we're going to do a little retro review of Bloodshot. That's right. Did Corona cause it to tank, or was it just not very good? We'll see you guys next week. Rogue Wave.